So my viewpoint on this, I'll sketch out, and then we can discuss.
Yeah, for sure.
Is basically, so this is what I would do to answer my own question. If I had JD Vance walk up to me and say, "Hey, you're heading into the Situation Room. What are you going to say?" Or a lot's going to hang on this. What would you say? I would take the opposite position, and here's why. I would say, all right, Mr. President, do not launch this attack for the following reasons. So don't launch this attack because, number one, and again, I'm going off of what's public knowledge. Now, there could be classified knowledge. Number one, Mr. President, you said back in 2020, so I remember this is right before COVID, in February of 2020, you made the promise that Iran is not going to get a nuclear weapon. You've said Iran will never get a nuclear weapon as long as you're president.
Correct.
Then in June of 2025, we launched strikes against Iran, and you said we destroyed their nuclear facility and their capability of making nuclear weapons. And then I would just say, and again, this is going off current available knowledge. Why do you want to attack Iran? If you've destroyed their facility, if you're keeping your promise, as far as I'm concerned, keeping your promise about not allowing them to have a nuclear weapon, then what are we doing?
Right.
And then it would kind of depend on what he would say.
Right.
Now, I did a little bit of reading before we sat down and started to record. From what I can tell, the argument is still they can't be allowed to get a nuclear weapon, which is interesting. But also, they have capabilities of attaching, I guess, standard munitions to ICBMs or missiles in general.
Yep.
And that they want to destroy that capability.
Right.
Now, here's the thing.
Also, their drones. They have an insane amount of drones.
So here's the thing. Here's the problem with that. I don't have... What's the best word to say this? I'm not for America telling other countries what they can and cannot build in their own countries.
Right.
To me, where we have a problem is... Number one, in U.S. airspace. So I wouldn't say, well, until it's the ground. I would say, no, U.S. airspace is a good line to draw.
Of course.
Even if it's over the seas, like let's say they launched a missile, Iran would launch a missile or something, whether it be standard munitions or nuclear or chemical, what have you.
Yeah.
Even if it were over the ocean, but we would be able to tell, because you can do this with technology.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, it's headed to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Let it hit. No, just kidding.
Thanks.
I would say, well, if we know, because we can use technology and hacking and all of that, missile's headed there. Even if it's over the ocean, we need to take it out.
Right.
And I know that's not technically U.S. airspace yet. I wouldn't wait in that case. For U.S. airspace.
Right.
Now, would I be more comfortable if we were to stop something else, like a troop transport? Would I be more comfortable with stopping that over U.S. airspace? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
But with a missile, it's a little bit easier to tell where things are headed. So what I would do is I would say, well, look, if we've gotten rid of their nuclear capabilities, I'm not going to tell other countries like Japan. We dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. I'm not going to tell them you can't have an air force or you can't build missiles. So you can't do this, or this.
So you're not for any of the stuff that we told Germany that they can't have, still to this day can't have.
Yeah, I would say, look, that was 80 or 90 years ago.
Right.
And in Japan, too, because
I understand.
Also our enemy in that war.
Right.
And I wouldn't. I think that is an inappropriate role. And I know you're not for globalism either. That, to me,
no, I'm not 100%.
Is globalist in a way that maybe some people are okay with. I think it's a moderate position.
Yeah.
But I am 100% against policing the world. And to me, some people say, well, I'm against policing the world, but that's a moderate position.
Right.
That to me is still too much control.
Right.
And for some people, they're going to disagree with that. But that's me. And so I would not, for example, dictate that to Iran. Now,
so if you have the ability to stop China from nuclear weapons, which is
well, that's too late.
No, I understand.
Sorry for that.
I understand.
Apologies.
No. I understand. I'm playing hypothetical.
Sure, go ahead.
China, your biggest threat for the most part. Russia, whatever. Paper tiger over here. If you had the ability to establish that they could never build a nuclear weapon at the point before they did, obviously, you wouldn't have done that, knowing that they were a big threat to you.
So
specifically,
there's a couple of things here. So, number one, we know from living in 2026 They ended up getting a nuke anyway, and they haven't used it. But let's say we go back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
Okay. No. And for the following reason. Here's one thing that an observation made by someone else, not by me, but I'll just repeat it real quick.
Yeah.
Is if you notice, you actually brought this up earlier, America does not mess with foreign countries with nuclear weapons. At least
there's a reason.
At least not to the same degree.
Right.
We only like to mess with countries that
don't have nukes. Right, correct.
And here's the thing. Again, here's the thing. If the Soviet Union, let's say, got the nuclear weapon first and then said to America, you can't have one, would I have a problem with that? You're darn right I would.
Yeah, of course.
I would say, no, I'm an American, and I don't care that the Kremlin is uncomfortable with me having a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
To me, the same standard should apply. Now, again, am I for defending U.S. airspace? Absolutely.
Right.
Am I for defending even a missile that's not even over our airspace but close?
Yeah.
Or on its way? I believe in defending that. I believe in a strong national defense.
For sure.
But I don't believe in telling other countries what they can and cannot have. And the thing is, I kind of like the fact that North Korea has nukes because we haven't tried to do regime change since the 50s. Yeah. We tried with the Korean War. We ended up being unsuccessful. There's reasons for that. We had a Democrat president. That was probably part of it. Right. But the thing is, I wouldn't want to mess with North Korea. My mindset over in the Korea situation is they have to settle that for themselves. South Korea has to be its own country. North Korea has to be its own country. Now, this is something where that's basically my role.
Hot take,
statement. Now, what I would say, because this is the problem I have with the whole they chant death to America thing.
Yeah.
There are people, and all you got to do is go on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't. But I get there's Americans that do it too.
No, that's not even what I was going to go with, but that's also true.
Yeah.
But you can also find Democrats on Twitter or anywhere, Facebook too. Meta is very much left-leaning.
For sure.
And they want hot war with Russia.
Yeah.
Like I want a literal hot war with Russia.
Right.
And they don't care. They're like, Putin's a dictator. Putin's a war criminal. We need to send Ukraine unlimited money. Just print out money and send it to Ukraine. And then we also need to be up to threatening nuclear force with Russia.
Yeah.
And what I would say, here's the thing. What I would not want is for Putin or the Kremlin, whoever, to look at that and say, that is a threat to our very existence. Therefore, we're going to destroy America off the map.
Right, yeah.
Because of the voices of a few or even a lot. Because, the Democrats are assumingly half the country.
No, of course.
Might be only the 10% more most extreme, potentially.
Of course.
But I would not want Putin to look at that and say, well, therefore, we have to basically just destroy America. What I would want would be for him to say, okay, that's a vocal minority. I only care about, America can wave its fist around as long as they don't hit the tip of my nose. That's sort of the old adage.
Don't touch me. Yeah.
And that's what I want Russia to do. So to me, the same standard should apply. If these people are out in the streets chanting death to America, which I've also heard some people say, and again, it might be in this translation, it may not be. Some people say that that's better translated like the F word, like F America, like it's rhetorical. Let's say it's literal. Let's say they literally want to bring death to America. Well, until the government itself tries to strike, I think that should matter. The people in the street don't always represent the elected officials or unelected officials. But then the other thing I would say in response to that is also kind of to quote Ron Paul from 2000 or 2004.
Right.
Well, why do they hate us? And it could be that some of it is, hey, we don't want you to build this and this and this, so we're going to bomb you.
And we said that.
Or the fact that we took out Saddam Hussein, who, contrary to popular belief, Saddam Hussein was not an extreme religionist. He was a secular humanist.
Right.
Now, did he then govern in a way that was good? Of course he didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not endorsing Saddam Hussein. I'm not endorsing Assad. But the thing is, look at Syria. Look at Assad. The one in Northern Africa, Libya, several different times. This is within our lifetime. We're both in our late 20s.
Yeah.
And it's been a very aggressive Middle Eastern policy from the United States. And frankly, if some other country were very aggressive, let's say in Mexico or Canada or even in America, I would probably be in the streets chanting F Russia or death to Russia or China. If they were, to your point about different spheres of influence in other countries expanding, if they were to do that, I would have a big problem with those countries. I would be holding a sign and saying to our government, you guys need to push back against this. You can't let them come over here and do this.